So good afternoon to all of you. We're starting a fresh batch for 2021 mains, and this program will have two components. First is the lecture and the second is the test series. From today onwards, in the next 4 and 4.5 months, mostly in 4 months, but it may take a bit longer also in certain unwarranted condition. For 4.5 months, we'll be doing the lecture aspect of the whole syllabus, and in this we are two faculty who will be delivering the lectures for you. As you might have seen on the website, the names of me, Praveen Kishore, and Ms. Chavi Vasist, whose portions that she is going to take, around 20 to 25% of the syllabus she will be taking, and that is mentioned on the website already. Right. So during this lecture period, we would expect all of you to devote maximum time for sociology, right? The reason is that all social sciences, and particularly when you talk about sociology, psychology, political science, etc., and out of them sociology is the most abstract discipline. Most abstract discipline means there is high level of generalization is done and cause and effect relationship is established. Based on a large number of concrete events, we arrive at certain generalizations, and those generalizations we have to discover. So this type of generalization is known as abstraction, and higher the level of abstraction, more difficult is the understanding of the concept. So what you should do, you should devote more time. These 4 months you must devote on it. I am not saying that you completely neglect general studies. Side by side, you can divide your time 75% sociology and 25% general studies, and you can carry on your studies. But wherever there is demand, you can move towards sociology, granting more time. If you don't do this, you are going to face a lot of difficulty. So I would expect you to devote maximum time for sociology. We'll have a 5 days a week class, right? 2 hours each, and if we are taking around 2 hours of class, you would need to put at least 6 hours to cover up those things, because everything cannot be dictated in the class. So during taking the class, we'll be mainly emphasizing on the conceptual portions. We'll be going in details also, but the further details you have to grasp from the study material or books that are recommended. Initially, you will be facing a lot of difficulty, right? It's not easy to enter in the subject easily because most of you do not have the background of sociology, and perhaps first time you have started reading now, because this is mainly the tendency among the students that they don't do the groundwork. They don't go through the preliminary studies and directly jump to joining the classes, even though we tell many times to do this. But anyway, now is the high time. You cannot further delay joining the classes, and therefore we have certain statistical change also that I will be discussing. So first 4 months we will have this lecture, and in these lectures we will try our best to discuss the concepts involved, and our focus would be on conceptual clarification and from your side conceptual understanding. Concepts are the specific terms and terminologies that are used in a particular discipline, and those terms and terminologies have certain sometimes specific meaning in the context of that discipline. Overall, in common sense, the term has a different meaning to us, but when you use the same term in the specific context of a discipline, the meaning sometimes slightly and sometimes radically changes. So, you have to be very clear about the contextual meaning of the terms and terminology. Now, here first I will be recommending certain books. We have already said about that, but I am again revisiting that recommendations of the book, right. Our study should be, study materials should be divided into two parts. One is basic texts and second is reference texts. Basic texts and reference texts, right. Initially, our emphasis would be on the basic text because you all are entirely new to the subject. Most of you, I cannot say all are, but more than 90% are entirely new for the subject. So, at that time, you need to go through certain basic texts. These basic texts that I am going to recommend would cover around 70% of the syllabus, right. But mind it, the rest of the 30% ensures your selection. So, and those things we will call as reference text and reference material. So, if you read basic text, it covers almost 70% of syllabus, right, and therefore around 70% of the marks involved, right. 30% from reference material or reference text, that includes some very specialized books, news articles, sometimes journal articles, right. Sometimes magazines, newspapers, right. Many times you have to search on Google search engine, Google search engine, and get some good article on issues, good article on issues, right. But what I have said, that it prepares your base, and this prepares you to excel, right. This helps you in excelling, and this excellence ensures your selection. Excellence ensures your selection. The 70% that the basic textbook, I will be recommending the first. Now you can go directly, you can jump to the Blue Haralambous, that is Haralambous and Holborn. Second, capitalism and modern social theory by Anthony Giddens. For Marx, Karl Marx, Emile Durkheim and Max Weber, right? For Parsons, Merton and Mead, you can rely on our study material. So all those online students must ask New Stencil to send you the soft copy of the study material so that you can know, you can read. Third is a book that is known as Social Research by Sotirios Sarantakos, right? This book is preferably third edition of Macmillan Palgrave publication. Right? You can have this book from Amazon and it costs a lot. It is cost around 3,000 rupees, right? Rupees 3,000, right? So if you could avail the photo or Xerox copy from somewhere, you can do that. And I am making further easy for it. All of you contact New Stencil and ask for invitation for the official Telegram channel of NICE-IS, right? And you should join that, right? It will help you in two ways. Whenever there is a book that is not available in the market and we have the soft copy of that, we'll be putting on that and you can take printout from that, or you can directly read from on the electronic platform itself. Secondly, whenever we have to put certain updates, we'll be putting updates on that Telegram channel. And third, many of the hand notes would also be given on that channel, right? Either in the printed form or handwritten form. So whenever we are coming across certain new developments, we'll be putting on that channel. And finally, you can also raise your queries on that. Channel, and we'll try our best to answer your queries. Right? So these are the three books. It is the first paper, and I would expect all my students to make these books as base books. And secondly, you should not shy from studying around 20 to 30% extra of what your syllabus demands, right? So sometimes, for example, when you talk about Harlambus and Holborn book, it's too voluminous, and sometimes you really get confused what are the things that we need to read and what we need to leave, right? At that time, certain things would help you, our class would help you, past year questions would help you, and many of the toppers' blog is there, and on those blogs they have discussed about what to read and what not to read from this book. So taking help of all these things, we will be deciding what to read, but mind it, at least 50% of the books we have to literally read. More than 50% of the book we have to literally read. Sometimes I face the question, sir, can we do with IGNOU? Yes, you can do with IGNOU. You can make IGNOU book as your base material, right? But you have to complement with this, right? I would prefer these books being made as the base books, and whenever there are certain difficulty, you can take help of the IGNOU materials, BA materials, for the sake of your understanding. Sometimes an author is very complicated in his language, is not able to convey the information properly, or sometimes the students, they don't lack certain ability to understand that author or what the author is trying to convey. So in that situation, you can take the help of the other book, right? Only after making this base, selectively we will be reading nice IS study material. And this will come in the reference material aspect. Reference material aspects, right? In the second paper, we have some books that you need to read, right? Paper 2. First is Modernization of Indian Tradition. Modernization of Indian Tradition by Yogendra Singh. By Yogendra Singh, right? This book, first chapter and second last and last chapter is must. In between, the portion is quite voluminous, but you must go through them also, and you should try to collect the micro details of the issues, right? Second book, Social Movements in Modern India. Modern India by G. Shah. And here I forgot to tell you that read first 100 pages of this book literally, right? It will give you a good idea about the development of the discipline of sociology, right? Social Movements in Modern India by G. Shah. Third is Indian Sociology, Social Conditioning and Emerging Concern by Y. Singh, Yogendra Singh. This book is perhaps not easily available in the market, so that Telegram channel will help you. You can ask, and it is there. The book in the electronic format is available on that, or I will resend that on that. Fourth is, there is a book called Social Stratification, edited by Dipankar Gupta, right? Selected Dipankar Gupta, selected topic, you have to read from that, like Vern and Caste, Dipankar Gupta's Social Stratification, Andre Bete's Social Stratification, right? You can purchase another book, Caste, its 20th Century Avatar, 20th Century Avatar, edited by M.N. Srinivas, right? We have two thin books, Social Change in Modern India by M.N. Srinivas, right? Language is easy. And Caste in India and other essays by MNS, that is M.N. Srinivas, right? So these are the books you must have with you, and you have to match with the syllabus, and accordingly you have to read the books, right? And this you must make base books. Then plus nice IS study material as reference material, right? There are many other books. In second paper, we need to consult a large number of books, which becomes sometimes very difficult. Our study material is nothing but the compilation of the portions that are required or that I thought is essential for our purpose. So whenever we are taking class and we are teaching certain aspect, certain topic, subtopic, certain concepts, I will be referring whether those things are in our study material or not, right? So whenever there is a need for reading books exclusively, I will be telling, and if I say no, this portion is compiled in the study material, then you don't need to go to the books. Hardly any book you have to read other than these, right? And within this, you have to do everything, right? So base books and reference material. Now how to read the base books? Right. One of the major query that I get, and this is very hilarious also, sometimes I feel, when immediately after starting reading sociology, people become concerned about writing answers, right? What's the issue that is involved here? Most of you, a majority of you have science background. Later on we see that even sociology is a science. We will also evaluate whether sociology is a science or not. But the so-called, in common sense, when we say science, we have engineering, medical, physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. These are the subjects which come in our mind. And most of us have that background, and we have switched to social sciences for the sake of this particular exam only. And this tendency has been more prominent since the syllabus changed. When we had to, earlier we had to opt for 2 optionals, so, and the weightage of the optionals was 2/3 of the overall marks. But today the weightage of the optional has gone down to 1/3, and those subjects, physics, chemistry, mathematics, directly does not help anyway in our GS syllabus, in our essay paper, or so to say even the interview. And therefore there has been more tendency towards opting for social sciences, because when you opt for social sciences, you develop writing habit also, and this writing habit helps you in general studies also. So overall, for a comprehensive preparation, it is found that it is better to have a social science option. Now, if I give you a very hypothetical situation, suppose you have not read mathematics till 12th and you go for mathematics optional. Will you understand in the first go itself? Right? And hope all of you have this idea that no, it cannot be done. And that's why no social science student ever takes mathematics. Reverse, if you have never read sociology, can you start and immediately start grasping the subject? Right? Here I will tell you the distinction between the reality and your perception. There is a prevailing perception about social sciences that they are easy subject. And a large number of us treat them like a novel or a storybook. And you think that the day I start reading, I will be immediately start understanding the things, the nitty and gritty of that discipline, which is completely wrong. It may not be mathematics, but it is also a science. So to understand something of graduation level, you need to have certain preliminary understanding or basic understanding. So definitely you are going to face the difficulty when you start reading the book first time. Right? Perhaps maybe when you would have gone first time with any chapter, you would not have understood anything. Right? And mostly what you understand when we talk about family, chapter, tribe, etc., then you are able to understand that. But the hardcore, the conceptual aspect of the syllabus, it's very difficult to understand in the first go. So first thing that is very much required is what I say, multiple reading. Multiple readings of a topic. Right? Secondly, slow reading. Don't read like a novel, because there are many ideas between the sentences. There are many ideas behind the statements that you need to know, and for that you have to do some thinking while reading. Thinking while reading. You need to guess meanings, backgrounds, right? And for that reason you have to go slow, right? Along with these multiple readings, our lecture would also help you grasp the discipline and the topic, right? So it won't happen that you start reading and immediately you start internalizing everything that is there, because there are many things that is to be internalized which is not written explicitly, right? Whenever you come across any specific term, you can call those specific term as sociological jargons. You need to properly understand it. You need to properly understand it. If the book is not clear about that, then you have to take help of dictionary of sociology, or some elementary book. Elementary book. You can also take help of Wikipedia or Wikipedia and the other internet sites. Right? You have to take help of these subsidiary books for the clarification of the specific meaning of these specific terms. Right? And you have to be a lot of imaginative to understand this. Right? That's why this thinking is very important. When you are reading a passage, suppose you are reading a paragraph, try to extract the essence of the paragraph. Suppose a paragraph is there in 150 to 200 words or more than that. Try to extract (10 to 20) word statement that works, that reflects the essence of the paragraph. The essence of the paragraph. You can take help of pencil. You can write on the side of the books itself, the margin, what you have understood, right? To the pencil, later on you can rub it. So this will, what will happen, that every paragraph will give you certain amount of understanding, right? So you have to be very slow while reading the books. When you are reading a topic, read the topic completely from that book. At that time, don't refer to any reference material. Whatever the ideas that are in that particular topic, in that particular chapter, you make points of that. You extract points from that and make notes of that. Definitely, even this note making will have to do twice. The first one would be in the form of rough note, right, which you will have to discard, right. So initially you can use a loose sheet or any register or copy. You can try to make the rough notes, right. Then again do the reading, then try to improve the rough notes in the same. So after 2-3 readings, what will happen? You will be able to start grasping the ideas, the concepts that are inherent in that topic, and then you should start making final brief synoptical notes. Brief synoptical notes. Brief. You don't have to copy the book. These statements that you have extracted, the essence that you have extracted, the points that you have extracted, these would be compiled as the brief synoptical notes. And if you could draw a flow chart, cause and effect form, all these will be learning in the class, it would do wonder, right. So one by one you have to do for these. Now for final brief synoptical notes, what you do, you take a register. Nowadays that spiral register. On the right side you make, whenever you are writing two statements, try to keep certain distance, so that later on if you come across certain new points, you can incorporate between them, like this. Don't stop thinking about the pollution, cutting of trees and wasting of paper, etc., etc. Right? These are not wastage of paper, or you are not trying to pollute the earth. Left side should be kept open. Right? On the right side, when you are reading brief, right? Sometimes what happens, you forget later on when you are revising where you had studied. So you can on the left side make the small references, like you have given number 1 and 1 page number of the book where you had read. It will be for a very few items. Sometimes you feel that you are going to forget it. So that brief things you can put in box in detail on the left side. Right? Always leave some space here. When you are reading the reference material, when you have started answering the real question of UPSC, and then you read some material and you come across new contents, then you can incorporate here. You gave a star, something like this, and you incorporated here. This will save your time and it will avoid repetition of the same work. These brief synoptical notes are very important, as first when you understand and you write it on paper, then it goes into your memory more properly. And secondly, when you are actually going to appear in the mains, at that time you don't have much time, so revision becomes very easy. So all these things, brief synoptical notes, we will be making on the basis of our study of base books with proper understanding. We will not write a term without properly understanding on the final note. Right? You have to be very clear about that term and its meaning, its specific context, why it is used, how it is used, what exactly is its meaning, etc., etc., and that should be in your memory. Right? And once you have done with the base papers, basic text, then you start looking for the questions that have come in UPSC. Questions. Right? And many times you find that though you have covered the whole base books, whole chapters, but you are not able to get the clue about this answer. And for the, in that situation, you have to study you have to refer to the reference material. Right? All those things will definitely learning. It's very difficult to say all this process of learning in one lecture, but yes, we'll be doing this. Right? Once we are sufficiently prepared in this 4.5 months or 4 months, a very conservative idea is about 4.5 months, we'll be covering around 90% of the syllabus. Right? And if you devote 6 to 8 hours other than the classes daily on an average, then by the end of these lectures, you will be ready to go for the actual answer writing. Right? During these lectures, you keep on writing to develop writing habit. Right? 50 words, 100 words on certain topics. Suppose there comes social structure. What do you mean by social structure? Suppose it comes that role expectation or dynamics of role. So these things you can write. You have to develop the habit of writing. Right? It is very difficult for us to evaluate for each and every member, but sometimes you can ask for evaluation, and we'll try our best to do what you have done. Right. In the beginning, I had said that the perception is that social science is an easy subject, and we we immediately understand, but that euphoria would be lost when you enter in, start reading the subject and attending the classes. Secondly, the day we start the class, from that day itself, we start thinking about writing the answers. And for that, I have a very simple explanation. If you don't know A, B, C, D, can you ever know A for apple, B for boy, or C for cat? If you don't know the framing of sentences, can you, if you don't know about noun, pronoun, verb, object, etc., can you write a sentence? Right? That means what? You need to have a proper understanding of the subject, and then only you can guess the demand of the question. So initially, there are many, I have found many toppers that first you read the question paper and then start reading. No, it has to be a constant interplay with each other. We are reading a topic, you see the relevant question, from the relevant question, you will see that no more things that you have to read, and again you see the question, next question, and gradually this will happen. Your horizon goes increasing. So for rough, you can keep on developing writing habits, right? Once we are finished with this, right, then you can start your test series, right? So you have two options. Either we'll be starting a test series in January, either you can join that, or if you feel a pinch of pressure of prelims or general studies, you can opt for the test series immediately after, that will start immediately after prelims. Right? Many times when you see the question, and this has been generally a problem with the students, that how to write something which belongs exclusively to general studies or general awareness sociologically, because in the question paper it is written, write it from sociological perspective. Let me first clarify. UPSC expectations from a candidate who want to be a bureaucrat, right? And what are a kind of preconceived biasness in the UPSC? The first thing is that today is a culture of coaching classes, right? Perhaps 30-35 years back, you had hardly one or two coaching institute in Delhi. Means there were very few who could be counted on fingers. So there was no culture of coaching. In last 30 years, for various reasons, one reason seems that there has been a collapse of the educational system in India. I don't want to directly go into that cause. But the educational system, whether you talk about primary sector, whether you talk about secondary sector, secondary, high school, even colleges, etc., there has been a collapse of the quality teachers in those. Secondly, education is also being commercialized. Whether commercialization of education is good or bad, it's entirely a different. issue of debate, right? But one thing also is there that you cannot prevent a person from teaching other person, right? If somebody is interested in getting taught by another person, in a liberal democratic system, the state is not expected to put any blanket ban, right? At the most state can do, it can levy some taxes, and that's what the taxes are levied on us in the form of GST. So for whatever may be the reason, this coaching culture has evolved. And today, there are a few people who say that I have not attended any class. And that's true also. There are many who have not attended any class. They have done entirely on their own or through informal consultation. But it is also true that they are in minority, and majority of the people, they attend one classes or the other. And this has made coaching industry a very flourishing industry. As a result, coaching institute management, owner, coaching class teachers, they earn a lot of money, which was beyond anyone's expectation 30 years, 25 years back. So definitely it creates a kind of jealousness in the society. If a certain profession excels in economic domain, then the other people get jealous of it. So there is one aspect of that. Secondly, coaching institute, what they do, in a way they impart a kind of rote learning among the students. Most of the work they do on behalf of the students, that is not expected from the teacher, right? Teachers in traditional system were more, their role was to make you understand and help you. But today it doesn't happen. Large number of coaching institutes say also, read my notes, you will qualify, right? Attend my classes, you will qualify. They even guess the questions, and then after guessing the question, they prepare the model answers, and you give also, you memorize also, and you go and write there. So both things are there. It's a kind of promoting rote learning, and the second is a kind of existing jealousness against these coaching institutes. Whatever may be the reality, but one thing is sure, that there is an negative attitude, there is a negative attitude towards coaching classes and coaching learning, right? As a result, UPSC wants to outwit not only you but this coaching institutes also. And the purpose is not bad or wrong. Their intention is to discover the true self of a candidate. People who are appearing for civil services examination, what are their personality traits? Is it adequate for running bureaucracy or not? And for that, they have to outwit not only you, but also the coaching classes. So whenever there is a famous coaching institute, a popular coaching institute, anyone, whatever they teach, the information goes to UPSC. And the question setters, they are well versed with the things that are being taught at different places. And therefore, one thing they do, first they maneuver the question, they use different wordings for the same question. So if you are a rote learner, you will not be able to understand the real demand of that question if the word is twisted or the sentence is twisted. This is they do. I have this experience, right? Second, they want to give certain questions that You study in GS, but you are not expected to be taught in a particular optional. So sometimes they ask question that looks completely out of the context and out of the syllabus. Last year they had asked about terrorism. It is nowhere linked with our syllabus in any direct way. Indirectly you can link anything, but directly it is not linked. See what is their mindset behind this. You study those things in general studies. Whether you are able to provide a sociological orientation to that or not, if you have properly grasped the essence of the concepts, if you have properly understood the orientation of the discipline, then you can definitely use your mind and you can provide sociological orientation. But teachers like me who are teaching, they don't expect such questions because that belongs to purely general studies, and therefore we never teach. This will happen, and such type of question comes only once. It is never repeated, and that is also in the section B of the question paper. Right? So here, what is expected from you? When you are reading general studies, at that time you must keep your mind open. Your reading should not be passive reading. You should be actively involved in reading and try to link, oh, is there any sociological relevance of this or not? And whenever some idea clicks in your mind, you should incorporate that in your notes. So you have to train your mind gradually. It won't happen in 1 day or 2 days. It's a process. Every day, in every reading, when you are doing it, you do it. Right? There are many questions. You have to keep a good track of the newspaper editorials also. They directly ask those questions from those editorials. We will be also trying to cover a lot of things, but by the time you will be appearing in the examination, will not be with you. Tests definitely will be with you, so we will be incorporating some things, some such things, but you have to do this. So what overall you have today, you have to train your mind to think in certain way. And this is what I will be also doing, and the other teacher would also be doing. They will train you to think in certain way. Right? So this is very important, right? Now here one thing more I want to say you. The first time when you read a topic, for example, after today's class, I will be taking class only after 2 weeks, right? From tomorrow, Chavi, ma'am would be taking your class on family chapter and other topics that she has to cover. And this is because I want to pull you into that, and those topics are relatively easy. Right? So initially I want to give you some time so that you can be a bit at ease, relaxed, and therefore you can gradually enter into this discipline. But at the same time, I also expect you in these 15 odd days that you should go through Soterios, Sarantakos, first 100 pages, right? And study material, our study material booklet 1 properly. These topics are very difficult, the first topic, right? So I want you to read them properly before attending my class. Right. Now suppose you are reading a topic, suppose social stratification. First topic you are reading social stratification, let us assume, right? Though you are reading family. after social stratification, when you are reading, you are very new to the discipline. So you just try to cover up what is written in the book. You just grasp this that is directly observable. Right? Once you move to the next, suppose you have moved to the next topic, religion and society. So when you are reading the subsequent topic, this topic, its ideas should be very much clear in your mind. And you should always be looking for certain similarity or linkage of this topic with this topic. This is called improvised reading. When you go to the third topic, suppose you have gone to politics and society, then these two should be clear in your mind to a great extent. It won't be clear completely because there are many terms and terminology in these that you will understand only later on when you cover the later chapters, but yes, a lot. So at that time, you have to actively engage your mind, your reading, with the things that you have already read in those two chapters. Are you getting it? Right? And gradually you go on adding on these things. Right? You can say this is called comparative study. Comparative study. This is very essential. In fact, when you talk about sociology, according to Emile Durkheim, sociology means comparative sociology. Sociology means comparative sociology. Right? We'll be reading later on. Sociology is a nomothetic discipline. Nomothetic means you want to discover the pattern of relationship. Right? So, these were the things that we have to do. Right? Today, our lecture would stop within a few minutes now. So, I just wanted to introduce you with this, right? And go through the study material and the books that I have said, right? Those who had planned classes in advance must have gone through those books that I had recommended on the website. So that would also help you a preliminary understanding of the things, right? So this is the way you have to go, and if you have any query, you can ask through those that Telegram channel, and I'll be definitely answering you, right? So thank you for today, and I hope that I and you together would have this journey smoothly for the next almost more than 1 year till the end of the mains 2021, right? Thank you.